Okay,
Here.
I think we're all set here. So I will call to order the July 20th, 2022 regular meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Authority. At this time is the time for public comment. If you wish to address the board, now would be the time.
Good afternoon. My name is Frank Hobrecht, and I believe this is my 1-year anniversary of coming here to ask about the alley pavement behind our building at 408 South Washington, the old Kresge building. Part of it was paved by Detroit Edison's contractor to repair for the Baker College, but they didn't do anything for us immediately behind our building. We still have a 2-foot drop off, and we have dirt. I didn't bring my box of dirt, but I can bring it to you next month. It's still dirt, and we still have the dumpsters in the public alley. It's still a mess. Our neighbors to the south, they have roll-off containers for their compactors. Both of them have broken off the wheels because they get stuck in this new pavement that was done, this asphalt pavement by Detroit Edison. It's a pretty weak attempt, but we have nothing. When you walk out of the back door of Lily's at 410 South Washington, you have a 2-foot drop off. And just to humor you, I brought with me some documents. 2005, 17 years ago, your employees threatened me with court appearance, maybe jail, maybe fines, who knows. Did it twice. Spoke to the city manager at the time about the arrogance of having city employees making me responsible for paving and repairing potholes in a public alley. Called it a parking lot repair. I don't own the alley. You do. The city of Royal Oak does. And maybe through the DDA. And I know that last year you did replace the alley pavement for 2 alleys on the east side of Main Street. Well, what about us? We pay maybe $500,000 to $1 million in property taxes. Baker College is on the hoof now for $100,000. Everybody's paying their taxes, and we can repair this alley. In 2016, I sent a letter to the engineering department to initiate the process. And of course, it came back with a special assessment, and my neighbors declined to participate in the special assessment. The money's there. You gave the money to the east side of Main Street. How about us? You don't have to replace the work that Edison did, but you'd be nice to give us some pavement behind our building so when Lily's walks out their door, they don't fall into 2 feet of mud. And that's it. So please do something.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Move on to the next agenda item, which is our informational meeting. You want to lead us into this, Tim?
It's simply, as you are aware, board members that have been here long enough, that the amendment to the Tax Increment Financing Act in 2018 required that the board hold 2 meetings where you provided notice to the various taxing jurisdictions for information. Those notices have gone out for today's meeting. It's my intent to schedule a second one at the end of the year. Based on the wording of the statute, which is in your packet, there is no required activity at this meeting other than the notice for it and provide it. All of your meetings are public meetings, and all of your topics are covered as you go through those. So I don't have anything to add to this other than we provided the notice required and have scheduled it. And if there aren't any questions or comments, you can resume the regular meeting.
Any questions or Comments? Okay. So we will finish with the informational meeting and return to the regular meeting. Moving down to item number 5, approval of the meeting minutes from June 15th, 2022.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Director Roswick, supported by Director Brake. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to those minutes? Questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, expense items. Monthly expenses. This is a report for you.
Really quick question on these.
Yes.
For Daniel, window murals, how many businesses did we finally get to participate?
We have one more going up on Give Thanks Bakery tomorrow, and that'll put us at 53.
53?
Yes.
That's great. Thanks.
No actions needed on this. If everybody, did you want to?
No, I did have one other expense item I wanted to bring up when you were done with this.
Okay. Everybody satisfied with the report at this time? Okay. Mr. Twing?
You may recall in the past that the DDA has covered the cost of cleaning the Star Dream Fountain on an annual basis. It's generally been under $10,000, and that's the history of it being about $92.50 it looks like since 2008, with one anomaly in 2017 where I think they did some other work through 2019. And obviously it wasn't cleaned during the construction of the Civic Center project. I did not budget for it in the current fiscal year because it was agreed that the Henry Ford Bogie project would cover that amount of the cleaning, and they are doing that up to the $92.50. Unfortunately, the bid from engineering came back in at $15,700 to clean it, like everything else. And the question was the DDA willing to cover the additional $64.50? If you are, perhaps when we get down to the budget item, we can amend that budget then to include an expense for that. But I wanted to bring it up here as an expense item.
Discussion? Nothing at this time? Okay. Alrighty, so we will move on to the next item. Item number 7, Give Thanks Bakery, facade grant disbursement.
In your packet is a memo from myself. Similar to the last facade grant, this one experienced some savings from their contractors. Even with those savings, they still qualify for the fully approved $10,000 that was approved back in March.
And the work's been completed?
Yes,
Okay.
and verified.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Director Keith,
I second.
second by Director Roswick. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Okay, item number 8, downtown dollars. Go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry. Similar to last year, we saw the beginning of the distribution of downtown dollars during the Arts, Beats, and Eats Festival, geared towards retailers as retail dollars. As you'll note in the memo, approximately 21% of that was fully redeemed. The rest of it rolled over into our account, where it was later utilized for the buy one, get one promotion that went on during the holidays. Since then, with Winter Blast, as well as I believe the Centennial Commons Winter Wonderland celebration, we have not seen utilization of the funds at more than 40%. Therefore, essentially, I am proposing to amend the way that we've done it in the past. And so with that is a twofold approach. One of them being the way that we deliver the gift cards to folks, creating a marketing data mine basically where folks that enter into the festival, there would be signage that indicates the first 1,000 people that enter, you scan this code, you put in your email, and that day you get a $20 gift card to use anywhere that it's accepted in downtown. The approach of increasing the amount from $10 to $20 is a means to make it more valuable and less likely that somebody's just simply going to ignore it or not want to do it. As we know, $10 doesn't get you a whole lot of places anymore, as opposed to $20 at least gets you something from a local retailer. As far as reducing the number from the first 5,000 people per day to the first 1,000 people per day, by creating more of a shortage of them, you're increasing the buzz as far as getting folks that actually are excited to get in there and be those first 1,000 people to acquire those gift cards. And with that, the distribution method would result in myself essentially working that weekend, being in communication with the Arts, Beats, and Eats team on how many folks have been let into the festival, and monitoring a sign-up form using Seamless, I believe it's Seamless Docs, that the city already has a subscription to, and essentially after the first 1,000, closing that off, working with Donna Nowitzki from YIFTY and issuing a batch on my side, which can be done virtually anywhere with internet access. You'll note in here there's an additional $500 for contingency. That would be done for, say, we get to a point where there's 1,025 people. Rather than cutting off those last 25 people before that's being communicated, we're issuing those first 1,025 as a means not to kind of step on anybody's toes as far as, oh, I just missed the cutoff and I already put my email address in. And then the remainder would go out via social media boosting as far as promoting downtown and visiting the retailers that weekend. One thing I will note is this utilizes the current balance that we have in our account, which is about $74,000, which leaves us a little bit extra in there as well. And then I've also been working on an additional item that will come to the board in August as far as another avenue of leveraging retail dollars to promote downtown during Arts, Beats, and Eats.
Questions for Daniel? Director Riley.
Yep. A couple things, and I'll go through them real quick, Dan. First of all, I love the approach, especially love the $20, because at that point, I couldn't agree more. I think with what you're doing, I'm going to call it making it a two-step process to getting the card. You're really, instead of just handing it out, and look, in the past, we handed out one, we didn't have a Daniel. We kept pushing Donna forever, hoping to get something that we could use like Apple Pay, and we couldn't. And she still doesn't have it, but you're short-circuiting, so it'll all be electronic. Somebody could print it off at home if they wanted to.
Yes.
But their card will be on their phone, and we're still going through the same system, so the retailers still have the same codes in their system. Any new retailers on board will have to get new codes, but it's just like old school for them, only instead of a piece of paper, the guy's going to be reading the number off his phone, right?
Yes.
So, and the one thing I'll do, and maybe it's because it's a little personal, the redemption rate in the past, I mean, we were going to be pleased with 20 to 25%, and we knew it, but we wanted to do something. At the same time, I wish Director London was here, because she said she had one of her best weekends ever with it, and I think that's the key to it. So I'm assuming, are we doing the same expiration date where they're good only through the festival, or are we going to take it further?
So the approach would be to do it until the end of September.
Okay.
And so at the end of the month, it's still helping the business bottom line,
Okay.
where maybe there's some intricacies that weekend folks can't get in there, but they're still able to come back and spend that money.
I totally agree, and especially because the way it's being done, because it is the two-step process, some people might not get back to it till they get home.
Absolutely.
Right, and so that way they have more time to use it. The one thing I'm going to say is, since we already have the 70 sitting there, and I understand kind of drawing the buzz, be the first 1,000, da 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 da. But I think we're, when you have 100,000 people a day coming through, you're going to have plenty of people. Why don't we just make it even 100,000, put out 25,000 a day? So we've got 70 sitting there, up at another 30. I mean, I know it's a little more work on your end and a few more cards, but the whole thing is that we're, I can't guarantee you how much that last 30,000 is going to be redeemed, but I know it's going to be a positive for the retailers. And I think 100,000 has more sizzle when you're promoting it, when you're going out to the world, going to 6 figures as opposed to 5. It just adds a little more sizzle.
One thing I will note in response to that is at the August meeting, I do intend to present on more downtown dollars and potentially more going into the budget for that, since we budgeted for it. I would ask that you wait until I pitch that idea to you before we add to this total. If we don't like the idea that I'm putting together right now, then for sure we can go back to this and amend it from there.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you saying is that you've got an idea for other stuff to use the budget dollars.
Yes.
Then I'll counter back, Mr. Twing. I'm jumping ahead here, but I noticed that the budget the last time we went through the budget, we went through everything. We actually had a shortfall. We knew going through next year. I mean, not a shortfall, but our fund balance just increased by another $675,000 because of some of the decisions we made on the mast arms. So if we wanted to add the 30, we don't have to take it out of downtown dollars. We could take it out of the budget because it is in next year's budget or this year's budget. We're in this year now. Fair enough.
Well, you've got the 74,000 roughly that's sitting in the IFTI account.
Right, but
it's already been, and that's what Daniel's saying to use. You do have another, I believe it's 150,000 for downtown programs and things. So.
And what I'm hearing from Daniel is he's got something coming up in August where he's going to use that. He's going to propose to use that whole 150.
And not necessarily the whole 150, but a portion, a bit more of that. So when that budget was outlaid and planned, it was not just for Arts, Beats, and Eats. It was also for Winter Blast, on top of a number of other events that we would like to have folks in and out of the retailers.
Let me ask you this: at the August meeting, would it be too late? What is that? That's on the 17th, I think. Would it be too late to throw 30,000 more into this?
I'd have to look at the AP calendar, but it could be tight. Yeah.
I don't think so, but to your point, Matt, I think where Daniel's really trying to get the excitement up is this whole idea of 1,000, be the first 1,000 through the gate to get the $20. So it isn't necessarily around the bottom line. It's about that first. That be the 1,000 to sign up for this.
It's a twofold approach. We're building more buzz to be those first 1,000, which is essentially going to build the buzz as far as we have downtown dollars. And so as we get closer to the holiday shopping season, more folks are going to know what downtown dollars are and are more likely to purchase them.
We can always, in a press release, say it's 100,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get more. I think you get just as much buzz by saying be it the first 1,400 through the door.
Right. I mean, it's easy to say 1,000. It's kind of like the used car salesman analogy. It's like 1,000, like Sunday.
Yeah, I wish Director London was sitting here because I think if I'm sitting in the retailers' chairs, I'd say, boy, and the whole premise of why we did it last time is because the retailers typically had a horrible weekend. And so we just wanted to do everything we could to support them on that weekend. That's why we went with retailers only and didn't include the restaurants and bars.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'll let everybody else chime in on.
My only other point is we are about 20 days into the fiscal year, and I have lots of big plans for downtown dollars, and so hopefully we'll have that money for the entire year.
I guess I would love to see that comprehensive list of the downtown dollars, because then I think that would help Director Riley and all of us to realize, the bigger plan around downtown dollars. I like your thinking on this as well. I really like the fact that you're keeping it electronic the way we wanted it to be so that people can refer to it through their smart device. So I think the paper was was a quick win for us last year. And so but I agree with Director Riley. We were hoping for 20% and we got it. So it was good.
One more thing I'll add, in that additional 30,000, like let's say 30% gets redeemed, then we're getting back approximately 19 or 18,000 anyway. You know, that are going and it's not like what we did when we did the BOGO or the buy one get one for half, where we carried it on for 6 months. This is only good for basically 30 days. So we'll know in the beginning of October how much we get back out of the whole 70 or 100,000 that can be recycled and used for other plans too. Just food for thought.
I guess my other question is around using downtown dollars for possibly the Pride Festival that we've sponsored as well. Would we want to, not to take away from Arts Beats and Eats, but utilizing some of this thought to get people down to that Pride Festival?
I have considered that. However, in speaking to the event organizers previously, they indicated that the footprint wouldn't be as large, and not as it's not going to be set up in the same sense that Arts Beats and Eats is, where it's a little bit more difficult to get into those storefronts.
And I hate to keep belaboring it, but the one beauty to me of Arts Beats and Eats is that, one, you're getting 100,000 people a day in here, and you're getting different people who don't normally shop in Royal Oak. When you're, and again, you get the same with Winter Blast, but when you're doing it like with Christmas and stuff like that, there's a little bit of cannibalization there of people who would normally shop in Royal Oak anyway. This way we get, people who possibly can be turned on to new stores where, you're building economic development through it.
Okay, Director Yazbek.
I just think it was so successful last year for the retailers. We want to build upon it, not shy away from it. So the 100,000, I'm sure your ideas are going to be amazing, and then we can just add more if we need to, if these downtown dollars are successful at Arts Beats and Eats. I would err on the side of having more money. The 100,000 does sound like it has a little more sizzle than 70,000 as far as promotion. And then hopefully that we spend it all and the retailers have another great experience during Arts Beats and Eats. That's really the goal of what we're doing here. So I would say let's take the best of all the possibilities and increase the amount.
And Director, that's a point I hadn't even thought of. Some of the retailers might, when they hear 70,000, they might think like, why are they cutting it back so far? Whereas 100,000 kind of, again, you add that sixth figure and it's a different psyche.
Well, let me chime in here. I agree with all the comments that have been made, and I love this program. To be honest with you guys here, this extra $28,000 that we're talking about doesn't scare me at all. And I would like to go with the bigger amount for a couple of reasons. One being, we've hit a point right now in terms of the retail end here where we're bottoming out. Our business is, and not only in Royal Oak, but all over the country, the retail business is at an all-time low. And this is the time that they need the most help. And then when I'm also looking at these numbers, and we talked about, I believe somebody mentioned that we were hoping for 20% redemption, and we got 40. And even if we were to get, if we take this back to $100,000 and we were to get 70% redemption, which I hope we can, but I don't know if we will, we're still going to be below the amount that's sitting in the account anyway. And I also believe, Daniel's got some great ideas. And I think anyone that he comes up with in the future as we're going through this next year, and any program that he brings to the table, we're going to make it work. Mm-hmm. One way or another, we're going to make it work. Whether it comes through budget adjustments, amendments, or whatever it is. If we like the program, it's gonna happen.
Well, and what I would say is, Daniel, I don't want you to cut what you were planning by 30,000 at all. Don't do that. We'll find the money.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's what I was trying to say, is
Absolutely.
I don't want him to think that we're taking all out of one basket and then moving it into a different basket and leaving this basket empty.
So-
That's not the way, I don't think anybody has that intention.
And this is a great trial run, now that I think about it, because, I mean, the redemption rate, because it's $20 and because it's the two-step process, they have to be more engaged to get it, and because it's going to be all month and not just the 4 days, I'm going to be really interested to see what a redemption rate is.
So could I make a motion to approve this plan with changes to the bottom line budget of 100,000, move that up to 100,000, and then I'm actually thinking the sign up should be all 4 days, not just the 3 days. I think Monday is the toughest, one of the arts beats and eats in terms of probably getting people down, but it's also usually the one that has some interesting musical acts, so people do go to the event.
I'm good with whatever you decide, but I do know that a lot of the retailers are closed on Monday.
But if we're doing this for
Yeah, but
all
doing it for the
month,
month, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying, I'm making the motion to.
We can discuss it. We have a motion on the table. Do you understand the motion, Tim? Yeah, okay. We have a motion on the table by Director Rosbeck. Second by Director Yazbek, is that correct?
And again, is the motion,
Okay.
it's 104 days?
Discussion, go ahead.
Yes,
I'm-
104
okay,
days.
Okay. So that'll be how many a day? I mean, obviously, we just rounded to the
We can
number
do the
one.
math.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already done the math for you. $100,000 for 5,000 gift cards would have fees of $4,250. So we'd need a minimum account balance of $104,250.
Okay.
Then,
And then how many cards a day is it, Daniel?
1,200 each day with a 200 contingency.
Okay, so the first 1,200 in every day. I mean, it's still got sizzle. I think the 100,000 gives you more coverage.
What's the total you need with the
So-
fees?
104,250.
Your motion really is to bump it to 104.
so I'll amend my motion to bump it to 104.
Is she still giving us the 3% on the? Okay, good.
3% with 25 cents per card.
Yeah, but withholding 10% on the give back, right? For management. Okay.
Okay, so the original motion has been amended. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
You do agree with that? Okay. Does everybody have an understanding on the current motion on the table? Any other discussion? Daniel, any other input that you need at this time?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Director Yazbek?
Yeah, I see Mr. Witz here, just interested in if he thinks this is a good approach, if he has any suggestions. Mr.
Speechless.
No, I didn't. No, I just wanted to make sure everyone's okay.
Yes.
So I just wanted to add that I think the approach, and I had the chance to meet with Daniel about it, and I think his approach is right on with the $20 amount, and I also think the improvement in technology is welcome as well. So I salute his work and research on it. I think my 2 cents, especially with the adding restaurants in, when you're trying to keep the impact on retailers, that just going back any amount of money when you know it's not all going to be spent, my recommendation as a marketing person, and by the way, whatever you decide, we are committed to promote the heck out of this and make sure that our social channels, that we do set up television interviews with retailers that talk about this, that we will make sure that, as we did last year, that we will push this hard, and we're also going in front of the commission for the staffing to have educated representatives and hostesses introducing the cards and making sure everyone knows how to use them, etc. We will also mention on our stages, that they're good for the period of time, so we'll do special announcements for them. But my recommendation to the board, if my opinion is being asked, is to keep the number at 150, because you're not going through, you're going to go through 50 to 75,000 of these cards, and that was the amount last year, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a successful program, and you're going to build on the program. Every point that's been said, whether it's Mike's point about the retail industry and the challenges that are going on, the tough summer, questions on parking, et cetera. If you have a proven entity, and going to Matt's point about the tourism elements of the festival, you have folks that are coming in that are not regular shoppers that have the chance to be influenced. And if we have that many people coming, and if those early guests are impressionable, those ones that are coming to buy art, and again, Daniel's right on with the beginning of the festival stuff, but those folks that are coming in to shop, those art purchasers, the people who are looking for a little quieter atmosphere, not as much crowd, those are the people that can be talked to, leveraged, talked into shopping. It's the perfect time. And I also think go for Monday as well, but why, if we're building the enterprise to hand these cards out to folks and we're doing the promotion of it, why stop at 1,000 or 1,200 when you can get them into 1,800 people's hands, or whatever the mathematical number turns out to be? There's just not a loss to it. And, I understand that there's an investment or whatever the case is, but you guys were putting out, there's no way that this, I don't think this will hit 50%. It's not going to hit 50%. So I think we would be happy with 30, 35%. And the only concern is if you put out less dollars and people can easily and seamlessly read the small print and spend it, at Lily Seafood, and spend it at Pronto or Cafe Muse, places where, they're already doing better. That I think that to cut back would be, I think there's just a great opportunity. So that I don't want to get long-winded here. I think, again, in summary, Daniel's improvements are right on, and and very happy with the opportunity. I would just suggest, if you've got a whole marketing leverage to get these dollars out, where we have thousands of social media fans and interview opportunities and people going to websites and ambassadors and people saying shop Royal Oak, shop Royal Oak. Why stop when at a number that was less than what you did last year? Because it's still going to be less people anyway. So that's my thoughts, guys. So, and then everyone has any questions, but we're committed to whatever is decided here. We are committed to promote it, represent it, and help deliver the best impact possible, both before and during the process. So,
go, Director Yasmin.
We're not expanding this,
Right.
are we?
So to clarify, all we're doing is streamlining behind the Downtown Dollars brand. Retail dollars have always been accepted at restaurants or retailers.
But we're not promoting it that way.
No, we're not.
We're calling them retail dollars.
We're calling them Downtown Dollars, but we're leveraging our marketing and our signage and everything behind it is for retailers.
Available, yeah, and like having lists of retailers that are accepting them, like
Correct.
before.
Yes.
Correct. If somebody takes it in somewhere else, they could always have used it
Yes.
somewhere, but we don't want to say that.
And has been the case in
promotion is
past.
Always. It's always been the case.
Correct.
100% promotion of retailers, that's what we're going for, just
Yes.
like last year, yes.
Yes,
So
the
that's-
intent here is just to add more weight behind the Downtown Dollars name.
I understand.
So there's less confusion behind what is a downtown dollar versus a retail dollar versus
Correct.
a food dollar.
Right.
I think the clarification I'll just add is that we contacted restaurants and specifically asked them not to take them last year.
Yeah.
And some did, and it was a tough process to manage and follow up with that and hold people to that honor system. So I think that's a fair question, but yes, and we
We'll
will
find out.
And we will follow your lead on how you want to promote it. So I think I was just making the point that they could accept them now without any recourse, that's all.
So I guess I have a comment to that then.
Sure, Paul.
The 150 versus the 100. If we had a crystal ball and somebody said, whatever dollars you allocate to this Arts Beats and Eats retail program, they will be spent. If we knew that, would you approve 100 or would you approve 150? I would approve 150 because I really want to help the retailers as best we can.
And to play devil's advocate to that, I don't think the bottom line dollar actually matters unless we're putting it in a press release, because from the perspective of the redemption, we're not getting 100% redemption. So what Daniel's just suggesting, and I tend to agree with it, is making some scarcity around to get it to be a promotion and people clamor for it. Not just to say it's there. So that's all. I mean, we could say in this meeting, we want that bottom line funding to be $150,000, but I think the goal of this is to create the scarcity of demand and really have people want to get the card or want to get the promotion. We can always give him a slush fund to go over allocate on that. I shouldn't use the word slush fund, but he can over allocate on the 1,200 that we deemed every day. But that's, if I'm
No, you're absolutely correct in what the intent was, which is exactly to build the scarcity, the excitement of you want people that want these. If you have something that is just handed out to every single person who attended the event, your rates of redemption are going to be 10% maybe. The intent there of creating the scarcity, but then also creating this two-step process of the folks that are getting on there and going for it, they want the money and they want to use the money, as opposed to handing somebody a card that maybe they throw in the trash.
Or somebody groups a bunch of them together.
Yes, which we have heard plenty of folks do.
No, I definitely agree with. I mean, I think the combination of the $20 and the two-step process, you're really going to have a much better redemption rate. I mean, you're getting people who have to work to get it, and they're getting more. And again, so now when I say that, then I say, so why don't we put more out there? You know, when they're coming back, but. Look, here's the thing. I don't want to put. Daniel's put a lot of work into this, and he's got obviously other plans that he's got coming up. I mean, believe me, I want the 150, but I don't want him to have to go back and redo everything he's doing. I'm the one who's pushing for six figures, so I'm not going to sit here and pound the table for 150. I already got my 100, so.
That's fine. And if we spend it all,
we're great.
slap ourselves on the hand.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? And here's the thing. I really hope that next year when we're sitting here that we're like, oh my God, it was so freaking successful and our redemption rate was so good. We want 200,000.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking for any more questions or comments at this time. I do have a motion on the table. Everybody seems to be satisfied? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Great job, Daniel.
Thank you.
Okay, we are down to item number 9, committee structure. I'm going to let Mr. Twing lead us into this.
Yeah, you recall that the DDA has discussed breakdown of the committee structure that you have, subcommittee structure that you have. It's referenced in your rules and regulations, often referred to as your bylaws. In there you'll see that you have 4 written or 4 identified committees. The Infrastructure Committee, Consumer Marketing, Business Marketing, and a committee termed Technology. That committee, back when it was inserted in 2011, primarily was dealing with website issues and other things. There is no requirement in the DDA statute for standing committees. This really was driven out of the DDA's participation in the Oakland County or the National Main Street program, where they advocate for committee structure. the DDA prior to that would set committees based on a project, and when the project or the issue was dealt with, they would dissolve the committee and move on. So there are other approaches to this. In discussing it with Daniel and myself and the way that we've been working, I'm going to suggest that rather than having 4 committees, potentially you break it down to 2, and you'll see the narrative of that on basically the last page of your document, which would include a term. It'd still be the infrastructure committee, and again, that name was just generated by the board at the time and inserted in the bylaws. You could change the name of it if you felt appropriate as well. The thought would be that it would be comprised of 7 members, 4 of which would be DDA board members. You can't have 5, and because then you'd have to post everything as an open meeting and have a quorum where you could actually vote on items. Potentially 2 business owners or managers of stores, and potentially 1 member from the chamber executive board. And then there's kind of an area of focus that's listed under that. The infrastructure committee really has dealt with in the past physical improvements in the downtown, and there's a list there. Probably the big item for myself and for Daniel is to actually pick a meeting date each month and time, rather than trying to schedule it. It is rather difficult and time consuming, I know, for everyone. And if there was no pending item potentially prior to that, we could just cancel and move on. Whether it's the first Monday at 5 or some other day and sometime, again, really is kind of up to the committee members. And then obviously the second one, we kind of combined marketing and what is currently the business marketing committee, because there's a lot of overlap in those 2 right now. And going forward. But the makeup, again, would be similar with 7 members, 4 DDA board members. And then we've identified the focus area and then potentially a monthly meeting date and time. The purpose of today was to see whether this format was acceptable, or whether you wanted to simply abolish committees and have them created as a topic might come up, or whether you had other thoughts. Obviously, because they're in the rules and regulations adopted under Section 7, you would have to modify the rules and regulations to whatever approach you're taking. That does require a 2/3 vote of the board, so it would require all 6 of you if you were to vote on it today in some direction. But I didn't provide a resolution. I'm more interested in finding out, does 2 committee approach work? Does no committee? Where does this board want to go? As I said, each board over the years has kind of tweaked their approach. So I don't know, Dan, you want to add anything to it?
The only thing I'll note is the inclusion of the chamber executive as well as 2 business owners or GMs. So the business owners especially is essentially a portion of succession planning. I don't anticipate any of you to be on this board forever. And this builds a base of folks that can apply to fill vacated seats eventually and have the tacit knowledge of being involved with the DDA and everything that goes into downtown operations.
Okay. Director Riley.
Yeah, I like this. One thing I really like about it is, we've had the cross-pollination, if you will, between the consumer marketing and the business marketing, and this clears it up. The only other thing I might add, and this would be, I hate to make more work, but an ancillary committee or a 3rd committee possibly, and it really wouldn't meet that much. But what's that?
I think I know where you're getting with here. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. There's a provision in here that allows for creating a committee on an as-needed basis.
Okay.
For a particular item that may arise.
Where I was going to go with it is downtown like projects, like significant development projects. and especially because the city is implementing, I believe, Mr. Brake, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be, you know, like we had talked at the last time when we approved Anthony Randazzo's project, that you wanted to consider different things down the road with regard to, you know, certain housing and stuff like that.
Placemaking.
Yeah, and I think that might be a separate. I don't know where that would fall in either of these committees, and there's going to be stuff that the city's going to be looking for in project approval, certain guidelines. Am I correct?
From my understanding, the city commission meeting last week, that it's much more informal, and it's in the form of a checklist.
Okay.
So, but that's not to say that it could become, you know, evolve over time.
But again, you made really good points last time in that if we're going to be giving TIF reimbursements out, that we should ask for certain things. And so I'm wondering if a separate committee just to handle those type of things. And I mean, what do we get? 1 or 2 of those a year? I mean, hopefully we get 12 a year, but you know.
No, I brought up the same issue with Mr. Twing, and we had a discussion about it. He clarified for me that things that those, you know, buying and selling property, anything involving a development agreement that would have to be worked through with any developer. Those I see fall under the category of a special committee.
Okay, perfect. Then great. We're there. But that's right.
But yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah.
I agree with your line of thinking. I'll make a motion to the recommended 2-committee system with a possibility of an ad hoc or special committee for our future organization.
Motion by Director Rossman.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Director Keith. Okay. Any other? Did anybody want to discuss this or chime in? We're all good with this?
That's great.
Okay. Did that answer all the questions you needed, Mr.
I think
Twing?
you need.
Yeah, just, you're going to need a unanimous vote for it to pass, that's all.
Yeah.
Yes, Vic, you all know.
Do we need to approve the schedule of the month too? Or
Do you want something different than this?
no, I'm good with these.
I'm taking it you're approving the 2-committee structure as outlined.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I know you guys want more meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim, Daniel, I know you guys would prefer more meetings.
Well, that was the other issue that we discussed, was that if we didn't keep some type of committee structure, whether it be 2 or 4, then we're going to end up having 4 and 5 hour DDA meetings
Correct.
to try and sift through
This structure.
all the issues. So
This is perfect.
I think the committee structure is needed, and this looks like a good outline.
Agreed.
100%.
Okay, if nobody else has any comments, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Look at
And
that.
that motion passes.
Look at that.
Okay, Mr. Twing, item number 10, Development Fund Budget Amendments.
Yes, you may recall that the board discussed some potential amendments at a June 8th work session. I have, based on those discussions, put together an outline and budget amendment for the fiscal year 22-23 Development Fund budget. Primarily those changes you'll see are reducing an allocation of $500,000 for holiday lights to $200,000. That was based simply on the actual contract that was approved with English Gardens. Also, allocating $675,000 for traffic signal mast arms in South Main Street. There was no allocation in the fiscal year that just ended, but you allocated it in fiscal year 2022-23, at least based on the discussion. Third was going to shift the maintenance and sealing from for the stamp colored concrete from the development fund to the operating fund. That does have a significant balance of about $123,000. Similarly, was going to take and fund the parking study at $18,400 out of the operating fund, and that does have a contracted service line item in it. Those are the primary changes, and you'll see on the overall, they're highlighted in red with some footnotes adjacent to them, and this is all based on the discussion that occurred in the work session on your June 8th work session meeting. Since that was a work session, I needed to bring it to a regular meeting so you could discuss it and actually vote. There is a suggested resolution if you want to so proceed. The last item I would point out that I brought up under expenses, if you want to have the Star Dream cleaning done, I would do it under the contracted worker services. There's no budget adjustment needed because there's $10,000 in there already, and that allocation would be $64.50. I would just ask that you do a separate motion approving that expenditure.
I think I can get that one out of the way. So I'll make a motion to approve the cleaning of the structure, I guess, in the contracted workers service line item of the budget for whatever the
64?
additional funding.
$64.50.
$64.50 is needed.
Support.
Motion by Director Roswick, supported by Director Brake. Any discussion on this portion of this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. We're back to
Budget amendment.
the budget.
So, quick question. I know that in our last meeting, we talked about possibly having a working session or with the commission around parking. Have we had any movement on that?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
It just hasn't been scheduled, so.
Okay. Do we think it'll be scheduled soon?
I think it would be helpful to at least get some preliminary information back on the parking study by Rich and Associates.
Okay.
Unless there's some sense of urgency. The problem that we get into is during the summer months, I can tell you there's a lot of people that are traveling. I'm going to be gone. So, if we shoot for, I would say sometime in September, would be much more realistic. So, but.
Okay. I'm looking for some action on the budget.
I'll move to approve.
There is a suggested resolution.
Yeah, the suggestion was we're basically just putting these things in, right? And like I said before, we were sitting here looking at it
Right.
last time.
Exactly.
We're looking at a better picture here if you look at the bottom of this, and I think we're in really good shape.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the budget by Director Riley,
Support.
supported by Director Brake. Any discussion regarding this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, so we have a report from Siren that you can look at your convenience.
I did have
And you want Daniel?
a note on the impact reports from Siren. Last meeting, I was
Okay,
asked
go ahead.
on the medias that's covered in there. They only cover the media plugs that they pursue. because this impact report is demonstrating the work that they do as our strategic PR arm, and it doesn't capture every single news article that mentions downtown Royal Oak in it.
Okay. All right, and then item B, Daniel, I'd like you to fill in the audience about the summer concert series, if you could.
Yeah, the summer concert series starts tomorrow over on Center Street between 3rd and 4th Street. They've got some really great acts lined up. It starts at 5:30 each day is when live music begins, and then the headliners usually go on at 7 o'clock, and then if there's more than one act, it's 7 o'clock and 8:30. What's really great about this event is there is no defined boundary of the event, and so folks wishing to utilize our social district are welcome to do so. Anybody seeking information on where they can get one of those beverages and how to use that boundary can go to romy.gov/social district.
Thank you.
On that note, I want to add something pretty cool.
Dr. Riley.
I don't know if it was last Wednesday or 2 Wednesdays ago, but I had my patio door open, and my patio door is 5th, and it was like Wednesday, early evening, daylight, and I was here, I'm like, am I hearing a band? Like somebody got a band? Who's got a band? All of a sudden I realized it was coming from the farmer's market, and it just sounded like, it was just like, so cool that it was like a Wednesday, early evening, and we had live music, downtown, and look, I mean, you might get somebody who complains about the noise, but it was early evening daylight. I thought it was just so cool. You can hear it throughout the downtown. Very
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Does anybody else have anything to bring to the board tonight? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Motion by Director Riley. Second by Director Yezbek. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the motion passes, and we are adjourned.
Sorry, we can't take your out of public comment.
That's what I figured.